Every trauma history starts with parents, usually. Like, not to blame the parents, but they play a huge role because they just pass on their own trauma to the children.
They got it from their parents and so on most of the
Yeah.
time. So it's just like it's someone in the past who started all
Yeah,
this.
like, we've all been through war in certain point in history, and this is still playing out because they didn't deal with it, because they couldn't, because the world was so insecure. So I think this is how, it can be normalized to have trauma, actually, and it's not weird to have it.
Welcome back to Hearts Wide Open, the podcast for men who want to open up and be more vulnerable, explore themselves better, and look inwards. And we are here to share from our experience as we are trying to do the same. And we're back with another episode. Today, another one without our dear Suruj. He has been MIA for the past month, but he's going to be back for the next one. So stay tuned. He's going to update us on where he has been and what he has been up to. But for the time being, I invited another guest who is going to fill in for Suruj today as co-host / guest. So something in between, I would say. Her name is Tamara, and we met her in Portugal when Suruj and I went there for a surfing holiday. We also made an episode on what surfer mentality can do for you and what we can learn from that. So make sure to check that out. And in that episode, we also talk about this group that we met in the middle of the night somewhere in the streets.
That was so cool.
Tamara was part of that group, and she is now visiting Amsterdam. So because of that and because of her background as well, which is very relevant to our podcast, we decided to invite her on today to fill in for Suruj. So this is Tamara. Welcome to the Hearts Wide Open podcast.
Thank you, Dennis.
She is a corporate health manager at an insurance company in Zurich.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. She's also a meditation teacher, traumatherapist in training, and she loves yoga, running. We actually did episodes on running as well, so make sure you check those out. Playing music, singing, dancing. And she's very passionate about men's health, but also mental health in general. Yeah. And she's the first woman on this podcast, so you might be wondering, what the hell are you doing here? But we'll get into that in a bit. So welcome, Tamara, again. And maybe we can start off by talking about why are you so passionate about mental health?
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Thanks for having me. It's really good to be here now and to be with you in Amsterdam. My passion for mental health, I think it runs very deep, actually, because I've seen people change when they go into therapy. And for example, I have one friend, he used to be very anxious in his relationships, and now he has experienced 1 year of therapy, and he's a totally different person now. He knows himself better, and he can handle himself way better than before. And I just think that in mental health, there's so much opportunity and so much potential for growth and so much potential for well-being. And since I'm very young, I'm so fascinated by the fact that there are some people who just do so well in life and others don't. And I just wonder how I can get the second group to become people from the first group. And I just wish I could find more tools and practical, achievable, tangible things so people can take care of their mental health like they brush their teeth. And they just, to have those routines and to make it more approachable.
Really normal. Normalize the topic and just like brushing your teeth is normal to take care of your mental health and be aware more of what's going on inside you. I think a lot of people also lack that self-reflection, and I guess that's where it starts, no? It's like starting to look at yourself and be like, okay, maybe I'm not super happy right now. I want to do something about it. And then the first step is to look at yourself.
True. Like, what can I do about it? Because usually I think for people, mental health is very abstract and very far away. And maybe people think, okay, mental health is only approachable through therapy. And many people don't want to go that far because they don't think they have like a problem or they're sick. So I just wonder how I can close that bridge between my daily life, and then there's this blank space, and then there's therapy space. So how can I find tools, and how can I find like books, or how can I find those practical things?
So like, do I understand correctly that you think not everyone needs therapy necessarily? Or
Well, I think everyone can benefit from therapy, because therapy is not only about making wrong things right. It's about getting to know yourself. It's about diving deeper into yourself. So I think every person has parts whom they know and whom they are familiar with, and then there's so many more layers and sensations and experiences inside of the self, which can be discovered. And I think psychology and therapy know so many ways to help you get to know yourself better. And in the process of getting to know oneself better, there's so much potential for more happiness and for more well-being.
So cool. Yeah, I just had to think of my own experience of psychotherapy. I did a schema therapy. I did 10 sessions. I just finished actually this 10 sessions. So and I realized I went there with a problem, let's say, and I was like, okay, I want to do something with it. I don't know what. So I went to my general practitioner, and they referred me to a psychologist who would work with me and look at that. Yeah. And we looked at this, but then it quickly, like, it was like recovering from a breakup, but then pretty quickly I started looking at other things in my life too. And so like this therapist really helped me to broaden my view at myself and look at the underlying issues a little bit more. And then it was not really like analyzing the past and like taking everything apart. I don't think that was needed for me, but more like, how can I pick myself up from where I am? Maybe how did I get there? And then what kind of tools can I use to like become more sensitive to my own mental health and learn how to cope with these type of situations in the future. So it's like, I mean, if you want to learn football, you're going to go find a football team with a football coach who's coached before. True. And I hear a lot of times when it's about therapy, like, you need a problem to go to therapy, or can't you just talk to your friends or your family, you know? But I feel like going to a therapist is like really going to an expert who's seen so many different cases. Yes. And so therefore they can really help you get to the point where you could go. I don't know how to describe this, but
I think like therapy, like the human system is so subtle in many ways. There's sensation, there are images, there's like emotions, and there's so many layers which we're not used to even recognize. And I think therapy can help you to become more aware of those subtle things, and then also to recognize your own patterns, and then catch yourself more quickly in the moment, and then know when to apply some tools and tactics. And also like, you know, when you have a change of inner states, like for example when you go to a party and you recognize, oh fuck, I'm getting excited, and then it turns into nervousness, and then you become overwhelmed, and usually you wait until the overwhelm is completely taken over your body. And when you got some therapy, maybe you can catch yourself early in the process, and you recognize nervousness as nervousness, and then you know how to self-regulate. Then you can prevent the overwhelm from happening. But this can only be because, you know, earlier you didn't even have the words to distinguish those three stages. Yeah, this really reminded me of something that I very recently went through, because I'm a very sensitive person, maybe more sensitive than the average human being. I have like, I also with other people, so like I can really feel when something's off or someone's not feeling well. And for me, it was always quite tough to spend a longer period of time at my family home, with my parents there, with my brothers there. Like people who don't live together anymore for years. Everyone has their own life. But then we get together for a week over Christmas or something, or for 2 weeks, and we're just together in the same house again, and everyone's being pushed into their roles, and I'm starting to feel this pressure on my shoulders. And then like there's also potential for conflict and fight, and like although we all love each other, just spending so much time together and being pushed into your old like patterns kind of thing. That's true.
Can be really difficult, and that's something that just happened to me. And this year for the first time after all this work I did last year with therapy, going to
good.
retreats, etc.
Yeah.
I felt really equipped to go there and face that, and also like take breaks in between, which I didn't do before. It's really helped me uphold my boundaries, like say stop when I don't want to talk about something. And then the more I did that, the more it also got respected. And then the vibe all in all was just so loving and nice, I feel. This is my favorite Christmas holiday in the past 10 years.
So
easily.
good. So good.
Yeah. And yeah, so that was a moment where I could now catch myself, oh, my boundary is being crossed right now. And I didn't have this before. I was like, I would just be like, oh, shut up.
It just happened and you didn't even recognize, right?
Exactly. And also just being able to look at my parents, for example, and see their inner child versus seeing them as an adult with authority over me. But like, they're also acting from their inner child a lot of times.
Yeah, they do.
And just also having more compassion with them, maybe, or empathy. These are all things that I think, I really developed over the course of my therapy in the last year. That was really about that for me. What's like something that's been busy, or what's keeping your mind busy right now in this regard? Like,
Yeah, I think I'm a bit on the same page like you are right now, because I also experienced the Christmas holidays this season very different from the last ones.
So how does it normally look like, and how is it different this year?
Yeah, like I'm used to feel very triggered when I'm at my parents' home, and there's this funny saying like, if you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family. And I just want to underline the point that family is so triggering. And although I'm in training now to become a therapist, and I know so many tools how to regulate myself, being with my mom especially was different, because it was very intense for me, and I had strong bodily reactions to her. Like when I saw her, it was sometimes difficult for me to even look her in the eye, because I feel my body was contracting and cringing. And I always tried to change her, I always tried to make her act differently and to think differently and to just basically be a different person. And this time, I did even more work. So I have like one year of trauma therapy behind me, and I have more tools and I know myself better. But also, I did several things. So the first thing I did was I became okay, and I tried to appreciate, not appreciate, but accept the fact that sometimes when I'm at home, I don't feel like I belong there. And I usually criticize myself for this, because I thought it's not normal to be at home with your family and you don't feel like you're part of a family because you feel so foreign. But this year I realized that many people have this experience, and it's not a better or worse person if you don't feel like you belong there. So that was the first step. So I accepted the situation like it was, and that was cool, because then I could actually be there and be present with what was actually in front of me, instead of projecting onto my mother and my stepdad how I wanted them to be.
Okay, so how do you have a specific example on maybe an evening that you sat together and this came up?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Like, for example, we always play board games when I'm there. And my mother, she's very childlike when she plays, and she's very egocentric then, because she just forgets the environment, and she's like acting out her, those are trauma terms right now, but she's like acting out her, like she's forcing herself to win, and if she's not winning or she's not playing a certain role, she doesn't feel comfortable. And then she's very loud and very reactive and very like a 7-year-old basically.
Sounds like she's also highly competitive in games, or
she says she doesn't, but she actually is.
Got you. And can she lose as well, or is then like bad? Isn't there a bad vibe in the family if she loses?
No, she can lose, and then she say, "Yeah, I'm always losing," and then she's making herself wrong for always losing. Yeah.
Okay.
But and then I always switch into the role, and I think, okay, she's my mother. She needs to be the person who's setting the stage and who's like in her motherly role. And this year was okay. I was like, okay, she's not acting as a motherly figure, but she's like just like as she is right now. And in this way I could accept her better and like appreciate how she is, and I could feel my love towards her in a more natural way, and I just recognize that it's there. And I also learned how to appreciate her character traits in a new way, because I just saw her, I looked at her, I felt her. I wasn't in my projection, Yeah.
Sounds like you're moving the relationship with your mom from a place where she's your mom and you're the daughter to a place where you're friends.
Yeah.
Like more on the same level.
Yeah, like this.
And accepting each other for that, rather than like making you smaller because you're the daughter. She's like more knowledgeable and more.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a grown woman now. So
yes. Exactly. Yeah. So I released her from her role in my head, and I released myself also from the role of daughter only. Yeah. And I opened both our roles up to this, like equal situation.
Beautiful.
That was very cool. Yeah.
So nice. And then like, what was the effect on like on you, but also on the whole like situation? Because I imagine there was more people in the room.
Yeah. So in the room there was my mother, my stepdad, and me. And when I relaxed and when I released the tension from both myself and my mother, the whole family dynamic shifted, because everyone felt more comfortable and more relaxed with themselves. Because I think what's actually happening in families is that they want to be like loving and nice with each other. So if one person releases their tension and becomes more natural and more loving naturally, the others kind of react to it. So what was happening was like, we experienced this natural flow, and there was suddenly like nice and easy conversations. We were able to feel secure, feel appreciative, have nice attunement. Like one person was talking, the other person was talking, and it all like went into this beautiful flow of three normal people being together, enjoying themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. My experience was pretty similar actually, because I realized like you cannot influence other people. Like what you also said in the beginning, you try to change your mom. Yeah. But I think the power is in changing, maybe not changing yourself, but just working on yourself and developing like tools to cope and like this higher understanding of the dynamics at the table maybe. And then that can then release the tension for everyone. Yeah. And then that in turn can lead others to also like feel more comfortable, and then you might even inspire them to do the work on themselves as well. Like I know I went into therapy after hearing from tons of friends that that it worked for them. Like I was lucky to be in a bubble where therapy is kind of normal to do, and most of my friends have been to a therapy session at some point, and hearing them talk about their successes made me also want to do it, and, or open me up more to it, because I come from a family where I don't know anyone who went to therapy. Yeah. And I don't know. I started talking, for example, a really simple example. I started talking about like, I don't know, that I do yoga and meditation, and now some months later, my dad comes to me and is like, yeah, I go to yoga sessions now. And this is the song my yoga teacher sent me. And it's like, yeah, this is so cool. And I don't want to pride myself on this because he went there himself, but I might have influenced him 1 or 2%.
I think so.
Because he knows I went, and then he already knows someone who does it, who's also a man. Maybe he can go too. And they offered it as his gym, and I think it just started by trying one class, and then he liked it. And that's just yoga, but I think you can inspire.
Yeah, and also I think your family notices how you have changed, and then you tell them what you have done for it, and then they think maybe secretly, okay, maybe I'm going to try.
I try not to tell them too much now, because I don't want to create pressure that they should do something, or the idea that I try to influence them or something, but I do share from my life. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
just sharing, like with no intention, with no agenda. Yeah. Just share it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and also maybe I try to express myself more. Like usually, I think because this is my family, they have to know what I want, who I am. But for sure, it's not the case, because they haven't seen me for half a year, and I have changed. And even if I wouldn't have changed, they cannot read my lips. No. So I made noises, I moved a lot, I allowed myself to leave the room when I felt too much tension. I made weird noises. I don't know. I just was way more natural around them than I usually was. So I broke out of that child role. Yeah. How do you do that actually? Do you like?
The one example I thought of maybe was this thing that I have. So my my family is not the most touchy loving. Like we do kiss each other left, right, left when we greet. Like that's just from the Iranian side of the family, kind of cultural thing to kiss like that, and then maybe a hug, and that's kind of it. Like that's when you meet each other or you say goodbye. I started to already a year ago. I started, and I also told my brothers about this, so they also kind of helping with it. But we started to hug our mom more. And just become more physical in giving our love as sons to our mom, and make her also feel like she's appreciated and loved. Because I think she's always been a little bit awkward with that. Although I gave her a test of love languages, and I now know for a fact that physical touch is our main love language. Yes. So this actually supported this thing that we were already doing with the hugs, and mine is too physical touch. So I'm like, why are we not hugging more? Yeah. So now every day when I'm at my parents' house, I go for a hug with my mom, and I realize doing this over and over and over again, she starts coming for hugs now. And it's more natural to just have a hug. I don't even think of, I need to still hug my mom today. Yeah. It just happens. And then what we all forgot about in all this was our dad, because our dad also deserves that love. And without thinking about that, one day I just found myself hugging my dad from the back in a really loving way. And that was also not something I normally did, but just creating this energy of like hugging each other in the family. I just found myself in his arms and I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And and then we also just became more physical in this Christmas break together. It really makes me feel more loved, more happy, more loving, and just getting a good energy in the room. And I completely forgot what the initial question was that you asked, but I just felt like sharing this.
No, it was about that. It was about how did you what changed for you in your behavior?
Yeah.
And if you would express yourself more. And now you said to me that you didn't really need to control it so much. It just happened more naturally, actually.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering with all this family dynamics over holidays, because we also spoke about this in last episode with another therapist, Jacob. But it was a psychotherapist with focus on psychoanalysis. Yeah. This is a bit different, but how does trauma play into all of this? Like, where can we find, because you're a trauma therapist, I'm just wondering what kind of things you can see back in maybe what I shared or what you experienced over this holiday.
Yeah, many, many aspects.
And maybe first, what is trauma?
Yeah. Okay, so I think trauma is translating trauma as a wound. And trauma is what's happening inside of the body as reaction to external circumstances. And there are different parts or different ways a person can get traumatized. The one way is through shock traumata. So, for example, if you're a soldier and you're in war and you see or witness a bomb detonating very close by, and your body's reacting like this, and then it can get stuck in a certain way in the body, like the reaction can get stuck. And then as trauma therapists, we try to help bring the circle to an end. So it's about working with the nervous system.
This is PTSD?
This is PTSD.
Okay.
Yeah. And PTSD can also come with emotional flashbacks. Like, for example, many soldiers, when they come back from war, they have trouble sleeping. Because whenever the nervous system is like wiring down and go into rest and digest mode, all the memories are brought back to life. And another thing can be that when you're by yourself, you feel like insecure. And then the emotional flashback can re-arise. But anyways, what I wanted to say is that
family trauma.
Yeah, family trauma. The second type of trauma is developmental trauma. And this means that we as children, when we're very young, have certain needs. And whenever those needs are unfulfilled, trauma can arise from that. For example, in our generation, I witnessed many people have issues with emotional neglect, meaning that the children have needs to be like mirrored in a certain way, and they have this need for closeness and intimacy with their parents, not only physically but also on an emotional plane. And many parents, because they're also traumatized, cannot give that kind of love. And
so it's like my parents hugging me, like somehow, because they maybe didn't experience that as children, like specifically my mom, for example, she wasn't hugged a lot.
Yeah.
Then that could mean that she also has difficulty showing this type of love to me.
Yes, like that.
And now I'm trying to like break the cycle by creating that from my side with my mom, and then hopefully I will be able to hug my children and give that love.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's like that's a trauma, and that's the way I'm trying to work with it now.
Yeah, like it's about renegotiating the situation. So your mom may be feeling scared, maybe she doesn't even notice, but her body's reacting like this, feeling scared when she's near with someone who's expressing a lot of love, and then she's going to shut down or to like retract. And when you show her that it's safe to express love, especially like in a physical close manner, she can relearn this. And the other part which may be important is that because like every trauma history starts with parents usually, like not to blame the parents, but they play a huge role because they just pass on their own trauma to the children.
They got it from their parents and so on most of the time. So it's just like it's someone in the past who started all this.
Like, you know, we've all been through war in certain point in history, and this is still playing out because they didn't deal with it, because they couldn't, because the world was so insecure. So I think this is how, it can be normalized to have trauma, actually, and it's not weird to have it.
Yeah, I'm now thinking like Second World War is not that far away, and we're both with German background.
Yes.
I feel like it's even like the whole German society, a lot of it is still traumatized by what happened 70 something years ago.
Yeah. Everyone has touch points with
that's
that.
just 2-3 generations in between, so it's very fresh.
That's very it. And maybe to explain this basic needs, because it's very interesting. Like there's like 4S concept. So child has to feel seen, soothed, secure, and safe. And if one of those 4 is not given, there will be some kind of trauma. And safety meaning you have to be physically safe, so you didn't get punched or you didn't lose a leg. Have a house, have a secure environment, no war and so on. And then seen, this is then more difficult, like because you want to feel seen on a mental plane, like your ideas, your fantasies, your thoughts.
I matter, or like I'm important, or my thoughts are important.
Yeah, not only that, but like, for example, you express an idea, a fantasy to your parent, and can your parents like play along with it? Or do they like reject and play with their phone instead for many times? Like this.
Yeah, now I'm thinking of all the children that are getting traumatized by parents always being behind their phones.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
Yeah, it can happen so fast. That was my point. Like it happens very fast on a subtle level. And then if it happens and it's not soothed, so ruptures are normal because you can't be a perfect parent. But if it's not going to get soothed, like if your children is crying, you don't pick it up, or other ideas. And if the 3 of them are happening in a nice enough manner, then there will be secure attachment established. Big of a loop here.
Now I'm thinking like we're talking a lot about trauma, and a lot of, I think my association with trauma in the beginning was also very negative. But then I also feel like we're all traumatized in some way, one way or another.
I think
a little bit.
Yeah,
at least.
I think it's normal. It's like super normal.
Yeah, so I think trauma is not bad then. Trauma is just there.
Yeah.
And you can, if you're realizing that you're having problems in your life or something's not working out the way it should or you want it to, it might be related to trauma. Yeah. And then you can decide, okay, I want to look at it. I don't want to look at it.
True. That's so true. I love it. Yeah.
And then you're also not traumatized. You're not broken because you're traumatized. Like we can be traumatized on different levels. It can break you, but I don't think that trauma itself means that you're broken.
No, not at all. That's very important. Like sometimes I speak with older generations, like for example, parent generation, and they always think trauma is this weird thing which is only happening to people who have very bad experiences, who are raped or something like that. And I think it's very important to normalize that trauma is more subtle, like you said. And then it becomes more approachable and more like a cool thing to do, because it means just you can recognize your patterns and then have this as a trigger to realize that it's time to look at yourself. That you can actually easily look at yourself, and then it's more approachable.
Love it. So much wisdom in this past 10-15 minutes. Feel free to re-listen to this part if you feel like maybe trauma is also a relevant topic in my life. And trauma's not bad. Trauma's good because it gives us a chance to work with ourselves.
That's so true.
Beautiful. I want to move on to another topic that I really want to discuss with you because also a lot of people might be wondering what the fuck is a woman doing on this men's health podcast. First of all, we're not like we don't care if you're a woman or a man. You can always be on this podcast if you have something to add. And I think you already showed your value to all men who are listening. Plus, there's a lot of women also listening in on these episodes. Which we know at least almost 40% of our listeners are currently female.
Oh, that's cool.
And we've gotten a lot of feedback, especially from females, how cool it is that men are looking at and talking about their mental health, and that's so inspiring, and more men should be doing that. But I think it's also very easy to look from the outside and be like, yeah, you should do that more. Because I don't know why, but maybe you can tell me where that comes from, why women feel like that. And maybe there are two questions for you, actually. Yeah. So the first one is why, maybe you can combine them even. Why do you think men's mental health is important? And the second question is, what role can women play in this? And what should maybe the role of women be, other than just standing on the side being like, you go, boy.
Go do it yourself. What is my experience with this? I think especially like mental health in general is very underrated. So I think it doesn't get the attention right now it should. I think it gets better and it gets more normal nowadays, especially like with COVID times. People think, okay, I'm stressed, what's behind it? So it gets more attention in a positive way. The
burnout rate is super high right now. Maybe it's also COVID, but maybe also just technology and like we need to perform more in less time.
Yeah, that's true. I think we're not really familiar right now with the impact of digital working and like the density of information and the complexity in the VUCA world. This is a good part. But then in general, men's mental health is even more unnoticed, I think. And I just so wish that there would be more awareness to it. And then again, this point of normalizing to talk about it. There's still so much stigma around it. I just read this study recently that more than 50% of people who experience mental health issues do not talk about it, not even with their spouses. Like keep it away from very close people. That just shows to me that this feelings of guilt and shame is so stigmatized and so tough to experience that many people still refrain from taking the action to open up about it. And then my point is that especially men, I think, are still strongly identified with the role of being the provider, being the strong person, and so used to only experience value when they can perform on it. And I personally have some friends who are, I mean, we all love men, but sometimes, especially when they get insecure, they still put it on the man to fix the situation. And to be the strong one, and to be the accepting one, to be the one who is emotionally stable. And I think it's time that we open up this idea a bit more, or a huge bit more, that men need to be this strong role. And I think women can take their share in it by maybe putting men as human first, and then look at the gender role. And like I just remember you showed me this video yesterday from your men's mental health retreat.
Yeah, the men's retreat I went to this past summer.
Yeah, and I just saw how vulnerable and how loving all of you guys were interacting, how intimate. And it's very funny, even though I'm studying deeply therapy and I try to be very, very open and kind human. I just realized I was shocked by my own reaction that I didn't expect that men are so loving. And I
Yeah.
think I'm not alone with this viewpoint.
Yeah.
And that was a shocker. So I think it's time to realize that men have many female qualities, or qualities we say are female.
Yeah.
And that they just love to be loving. And I think this could be not only appreciated, but even allowed and actually addressed as a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe some facts also from this retreat. We actually also made an episode about the experience I had at the men's retreat. So like I think it's episode 4. Just look back. It's pretty interesting stuff there. But in general, also the organizers of this retreat told us that it's so easy to fill women's retreats.
Yeah.
And so hard to fill men's retreats, just because it's less. And even the men that were at the retreat, half of them were sent there by their spouses.
No way.
Like, you should go. Yeah, you should go there. You know, like they needed that extra push to actually go. And then it was incredible what type of brotherhood and connection we could experience in these 5 days. And we're still in touch with many of those men as well, and we like support each other, cheer each other on. So one of them just became a breathwork coach. Other one is giving handstand practice in Zurich. Actually, maybe I should give you a connection there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. And like also me, I'm doubling down on this podcast. Like motivated me a lot to do more in this in men's work or like men's health. And it's just incredible to see that you can like also do this together with other men. And with that, I would recommend everyone to at least like join a men's circle sometime.
Yeah.
And feel this love. And yeah, it's really, it's the reason why we started this podcast, to also shine a light on men's health and make more noise about it. Because as you said, men are also allowed to cry, to have feelings, to tap into their female energies.
Yeah.
And when we say female energies, we don't mean women energies. Like it's, you can still be a man and have feelings, you know, and feel weak sometimes and break, and that's all right. And
for sure, it's human.
Exactly, and you
human.
don't always need a solution, like what you said. And as a woman, it would be actually very nice if you're like, as a man, you're like, we get permission to be all of us, not just the manly part, the solution part, the strong part. Yeah,
it's a give and take, I think. So for me, I think both male and female qualities are in both of the genders. Like we have them both, just to maybe more stronger at a certain extent. And for me as a woman, I identify as a woman, probably it's more easy to relate and to express the female qualities, but I also have the male qualities. So I can help you to understand your female qualities a bit better by allowing them for you to be there, and you can show me your way.
Yeah.
But we have them both. So I think this is important to stress.
And I think I think the best thing is indeed like to open the space of understanding, empathy, love, and look at it like that from both gender sides, also in a partnership, for example. I've experienced this in dating, like online dating. I tried it, and I remember this one time I went on a date with this girl, and she was like, she was blaming me for stuff I never did, and I was like, I don't even know you, and she was like, I don't know. I felt like I'm some other dude that did something bad to her, and based on that past experience, she's judging me and putting me in that box, and I was not allowed to be myself at all.
Yeah.
And maybe also this whole online world and this swiping left, swiping right, making us judge other people on very simple characteristics and aspects of their personality.
True. Yeah, that's so true.
Creates distance between the genders, or whereas we should be talking to each other.
And I think also like this day and age is so much about defining things, like define the role, define the qualities which are good and which are bad, and then we very easily get lost in them. Like for example, right now there's this theme of a man needs to be able to hold their woman no matter what they do and all their emotionality. And I think this is true, but it's also true for the woman. So the woman also needs to be able to hold the man and all their emotionality. And it's not a should, it's not a must, because both need to work their way to be even able to get there. But if only the woman is like demanding it from the man that he has to be like that and is not allowing for him to grow into it, she will be stuck with her idealized version of the man and will not actually be with the version who's there right now.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to create more separation like this.
Like 100%.
Yeah, it's cool to have the concept, but it's also necessary to allow the concept to evolve and to be like dynamic. So I always think like fixed concepts are difficult because we are always dynamic and it's always ever changing to the situation if you're a healthy person.
Love that. Wow. And like one thought that also just popped up is what you said before, those 4 S's.
Yeah.
We're not man, woman. We also still are our inner child. Yeah. And we are child without gender need those 4 S's.
Yeah.
And as a man, you can also be in your child mode where you want safety. Now I'm missing all the other ones, but
in a very soothing,
feeling
seen especially.
We also want to feel seen, and as a woman as well. And when we're in that inner child, I don't know. I feel like very simple example, but I love when I'm cuddling with someone, I love being small spoon as well.
Yeah.
And then I'm in the child mode, and I'm like feel protection from behind, and it makes me feel really nice.
Yeah.
In turn, I also love to be the big spoon sometimes and be that protector. And be able to switch roles and not just be in one role.
Yeah. And that's a cool example because I realized that like many of my female friends, they shy away from being the strong one, like being the male part. And I think it's also time for us women to embrace this more, to be strong, to be leading, to be tough, to be edgy.
Yeah.
And I think this is also, we get trapped in our own idea of how a female is. Because a female is not only like pretty and loving and receiving, and she also is like deciding, going forward, being bossy from time to time. So we get caught up in those definitions again.
Yeah, and also it's a new time. I mean, it's not the time where the man is the breadwinner anymore and the woman stays at home taking care of the children necessarily. Those roles can be switched, so everything else also needs to open up more, and we need to allow each other to be in different roles. And you know, and then that's also like now we can open the conversation on equality in society and what that means, and like
maybe we can loop it back to what we were saying in the beginning, that now you recognize what it is you're doing actually, and now you can put words onto it, whereas before you probably would be easily lured into these tight boxes, and now you know how it actually, how those tightness actually presents itself, and now we can open it back up.
Wow, I love it. We should record another episode together. I actually love this like male-female perspective as well.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Like talking from 2 different perspectives, and then like creating this conversation, because I think that's what's more needed out there. And
that's true. And also the openness. I really appreciate your openness.
Same. So you might see us back in the future on another podcast or episode or whatever. It would be quite cool. I'm really enjoying this. What we normally do before we wrap up, we have some questions, quick fire questions for our guests.
Yes.
These are questions that you answer ideally in like 1 or 2 sentences, but don't feel too restricted. It's not super strict format.
All right.
Let's just ask you a couple of them. When do you feel most alive?
Ooh, okay. 2 different situations. One situation when I'm with friends who really see me and I can really see them. I just feel there's this huge aliveness because we just create this thing together and our energies match. I feel super alive. And the other is when I'm by myself and I totally tap into my creation mode. So I just don't know, I start to draw, to dance, and like my whole body feels aligned with my brain.
So it's really present, feeling seen and feeling present. Present.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. The next one I have, we actually did a episode on support systems in the past, and so we love to ask our guests, who is your biggest support system and why?
Yeah, again, both sides. Like I'm kind of also my biggest support system myself because, I start to. It comes along with trauma therapy and all the getting to know myself better, but I know that my structures, my routines, my inner tools and resources are my maybe biggest support system. But also I've learned in the past to rely more on my friends, to ask for help, to connect to them, to trust that they actually are there with me and they want to help me. Yeah.
Yeah, in this point, so a feedback I got recently, lean more on your friends. Give them a chance to support you, because a lot of times we try to fix it ourselves. Because yes, we are our own first support system. I fully agree on that. But yeah, lean on your friends too, because they are your friends. And
and they are loving, so I think
exactly.
people love to love. This is important.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how many people run into similar issues actually, and then they can share from their experiences.
And connect again there.
Exactly. Last quick fire question I have for you is there something you wish people knew about you or knew more about you?
Oh yeah. I just got the feedback recently in my workplace that my coworkers and my boss, they always think that I love to do everything on my own and I love to be strong, go out, do my own workshops, when actually I struggle a lot and I just would love to be well received in my struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And
what does that mean exactly? Like
the connecting point would be I would love to see more. I would love that people would see more the complexity inside of me. Like I'm not only the strong person, I'm not only a struggling person, but I can be both at the same time. Yeah, this would be cool.
Amazing. Thank you for those open, vulnerable answers. Lastly, I would also like to ask, how can people get in touch with you, or where can people follow you? What can they reach out for?
Yeah, I just started to build up my Instagram account to get the trauma therapy knowledge more into the space and to make it more approachable. So this is new. I'm Tamara. This is my name on Insta.
You'll find it in the show notes as well.
Yeah, this is the main touch point right now.
Yeah, through your Instagram. Cool. Awesome. So for anything trauma therapy, if you want to connect with Tamara, follow her on her Instagram, and there's a lot of cool trauma therapy content coming up. I hear. So we're excited to see that. And thanks again for joining today. And is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, maybe one more thing would be, no matter where you are, it's just very important that you start. Like, no matter how big the steps seem to be, like in the beginning, like every step counts towards like getting to know yourself better, helping someone. Just go the step, walk the walk, start right now. This is my message. It's so important.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. And with that, we wish you a pleasant rest of the day whenever you listen to this, morning, afternoon, evening, weekday, weekend, in the middle of the night, wherever you are. Wish you all the best, and to the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.